head of Adobe worldwide at Noventiq. And we also have Mr. Albert, senior solution consultant from Adobe. Yes, so please kindly note that this session will be in English and will be recorded and shared to you after this webinar. Please kindly put your question in the chat and we will answer you at the end of the session. Okay, thank you. So Maria, please help me to share. Okay, so let me have a quick introduction about Noventiq. Noventiq is a global leading IT solution and service provider in digital transformation and cybersecurity. We have operated in 60 countries in the world. We have our headquarters in London, and we also listed our company as a stock exchange in London as well. Currently, we listed our company in Nasdaq, which is the biggest stock exchange in USA. And we have more than 25 years experience in IT industry like server, hardware, cloud, service, and consultant as well in IT. And we have 5,900 employees in the world. And recently we acquired the company who expert in X solution like AWS, like Oracle, like digital banking solution that they can provide loan origination, call center, contact center. Yes. And currently we also have 11 delivery center, which means that the central of a support team 24/7. So for Apex, currently we use India teams who centralize support for Apex. Next slide, please. Yep. So previous slide is the overall for global information, and this slide is for Noventiq Apex. So in Apex we have 8 country represent like Cambodia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand, Myanmar. So normally we share the resource across the region, right, to support each other in terms of service delivery, in terms of consultancy. So this is our key advantage as well. We are the global expertise with the local support by each country. So please feel free to contact to us. And yes, we have more than 250 employees for this Apex, and we plan to grow more as well. In Apex, we have experience 15 years with different key service like migrations to clouds, to Azure, to AWS, to Google. Yep. And well, we are a leading partner of Microsoft. So we are one of 10 Microsoft Global Managed Partner. And we are the best licensing solution provider. Microsoft is just not only license, but like a solution provider in terms of license agreement as well, with different benefits that you can get from this Microsoft. So we are Microsoft Partner Azure Expert, which can help you to do a migration of infrastructure, Windows Server, actual to Azure Cloud. Meanwhile, we also specialize on security, cloud security, identity and access management, data protection. And the last one, we also specialize on modern works and business application, which helps you to support on the business application, automation, code application, low development as well. With this expertise, with this delivery service to customer, we received the awards of Microsoft for Partner of the Year award. So not only in Cambodia, but in other regions as well. And this award, we have to compete more than 100 partner of Microsoft, not just only in Cambodia, but it is worldwide. So based on our experience, based on our capacity, yes, we received this Partner of the Year award. And recently, we received two awards. One for modern workplace, and another one is for teamwork, security. Yes. So next slide, Maria. I think that's all that I want to share for Noventiq. So let me invite next speaker, Miss Paulina. She will give a quick overview about Adobe business. Yes, thank you,
Yes.
Paulina. Let me hand over this to you.
Thank you, Srilik. Dear colleagues, can you please help me? You can text via chat or send your reaction. Do you hear me well? Do you see the presentation?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, great. Good morning, everyone. Really thank you for joining, for your time. And today we will focus more on Creative Cloud side of Adobe. But before we start, I would like to ask you, please text your answer via chat. Do you use, which products of Adobe do you use already? Maybe Acrobat Pro, maybe Photoshop, maybe Creative Cloud. It will be helpful because in this case, we can focus more on products which you already use or you would like to use. Please share with us via chat. Now I'm briefly tell you about Adobe, that Adobe is not only about Photoshop, honestly. And in Adobe, we have three main directions, Creative Cloud, Document Cloud, and Experience Cloud. Creative Cloud, as you know, this is all about content creation and content editing. And as you maybe who joined earlier already seen that Adobe launched new products recently, Adobe Firefly, also Adobe already integrated it with beta version of Photoshop. And we have a lot of news, and I think soon in autumn on Adobe Max conference, they also maybe tell us a bit more about new features in Adobe Firefly and Creative Cloud OLEDs. Document Cloud, this is about work with PDF, work with electronic signatures, and it will help your organization to improve your digital processes. And Experience Cloud, this is platform solution for mostly for enterprise business, for work with customers, analytic targeting, content management, etc. And what is good in Adobe that Adobe is working a lot with other vendors like Microsoft, Apple, SAP, etc. Also, if we talk about Microsoft, we have a lot of integrations between Microsoft 365 and Adobe products as well. Masha, please, can we move to the next slide? And dear colleagues, we will have part with Q&A. But if you have questions right now, please feel free to text it via chat, and we will try to answer during our presentation. And also, I can say that the most important thing in Noventiq as official Adobe partner, that we have big Adobe team in house. As you can see, we have more than 10 people already, and we're still hiring new people. And if you need our support and help, not only in Cambodia and Vietnam, we can help you in other countries as well. Masha, please move to the next slide. And as I mentioned before, we are official partner of Adobe. We have more than 20 years of successful work and partnership with Adobe. We have more than 1,000 Adobe customers around the globe. We have internal team who can help you with your questions, onboarding, implementation, and we can work with all Adobe directions and all Adobe products and help you with all processes consider Adobe. And as well, we are arranging a lot of free events for our customers and end user, like this webinar. And also I would like to say thanks our partner Tech Data, who supported us for this webinar, and our colleagues from Adobe. And Masha, we can move to the next slide. I just would like, before we move to Creative Cloud site, briefly highlight you some um, really important moments about Document Cloud. As I can see, we have some people who also are using Acrobat Pro. In Acrobat Pro, you can find a lot of tools for work with electronic documents. And since last August, Adobe announced that in Acrobat Pro we have unlimited access to e-signatures, what also can help you with your digital workflows. And we can move to the next slide. And as I mentioned before, Adobe has a lot of integrations with Microsoft. And if you already use Microsoft solutions and Adobe, please feel free to reach our team or sales team or Adobe team, and we can highlight you which tools you can use better all together for Microsoft and Adobe. Masha, please move to the next slide. And here you can see simple comparison between Acrobat Standard, Acrobat Pro, and Acrobat Sign. From the last news, I can say that we have good news about Acrobat Standard. Since April, Adobe announced that Acrobat Standard is available also now for macOS, because before it was available only for Windows. Now this version of Acrobat, simple version, is available for both operation systems. We can move to the next slide. And of course, we are talking a lot about integrations with Microsoft, but the same way Adobe Sign has a lot of integrations with other solutions. And if you need any data about that, please feel free to reach us, and we can tell you about these integrations and check maybe integrations with your current platforms or systems. Masha, please, we can move ahead. And just quick overview about Adobe Experience Cloud. If you're enterprise customer and you have a lot of work with customers and you need to target, also analyze data about the customers, also to work with a lot of sites with content, please feel free to ask us about this product. Or, for example, if you're from banking sphere and you're working with digital forms for customers for banks products, there are also solutions for optimization of workflows. We can move to the last slide from my side. And just to provide smooth changes of speakers, I can say that creativity doesn't just open doors, it opens worlds. And I would like to invite our dear speaker, Albert from Singapore, from Adobe. Albert, can you hear me? Can you?
Yes, I can hear you,
give me the
Polina.
sign? Yes,
Yes.
please, the stage is yours, dear colleagues. Please feel free to ask us questions. Please text it via chat. We will try to answer it during the Albert's presentation or after. And so when we have a Q&A session, you can also unmute yourself and ask your questions, because we have like a lot of people, but not 100. And I think we can also try to answer your questions in dialogue. Please enjoy the webinar. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Polina. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And a very good morning to everyone who's dialing in. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. My name is Albert Goh, and I'm from Adobe, based in Singapore. I am the Senior Solutions Consultant, and I cover digital media suite of products, namely the products that Polina has just showcased, Acrobat Sign, as well as the Creative Cloud, right? So this morning we are going to unleash creativity with Adobe Creative Cloud. Just to give you a rough idea of what we are going to cover this morning, our agenda will focus on some features of Photoshop and Illustrator, namely the artificial intelligence driven features of Photoshop and Illustrator. These usually require some access to the cloud, right? And I'm going to show you a little bit of also how you can use various different features in Adobe Creative Cloud for collaborative work, namely Creative Cloud libraries, cloud documents, and share for review. And then thirdly, we're going to touch a little bit on Adobe Stock, how you can search for and license stock content directly from Adobe Creative Cloud desktop app, from Photoshop, Illustrator, and all the other Creative Cloud applications. Last but not least, just a quick showcase on Adobe Firefly and how you can go ahead and test it out. It is a free um, cloud service at the moment where you can use and harness the power of generative AI from Adobe technology and try to create amazing images just online. This is in beta and it's free for everyone to try. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead to our first item. I'm going to start off my presentation and demo today with Photoshop. So let's switch over to Photoshop itself. And I know I've not turned on my camera, but for those of you who have not met me before from Adobe, this is what I look like. All right. So this is me, just a recent photograph of myself. Yeah, I know I should lose a little bit of weight, but I'm working on that at the moment. So anyway, why am I showing you a picture of my face? Well, the reason is I just want to showcase a really amazing feature in Adobe Photoshop. And this is part of Photoshop's neural filters. All right, it's called neural filters. And these are amazing AI driven features that can do amazing things once your Photoshop is connected online. So let me show you how it works. So let's presume that you have a photograph of a person. You are running a campaign and you have a model's face, right, on the photograph. Not that I'm a model or anything like that. But what I want to do is, let's say I want to edit the face a little bit. Well, you can do this, using neural filters, right? In a very, very smart and quick way. So I'm going to go to filter from the top down menu and then go to neural filters. So neural filters opens up a neural filters window. And from here, what I can actually do, right, is I can say, okay, let's do a little bit of a smart portrait. So I'm going to do smart portrait first of all. And you can see that you do have various different functions under portraits, right? Do makeup transfer, smart portrait, skin smoothing. But let's just do something really quick like smart portrait. I'm going to turn it on by flipping on this switch here. And from here, what I can do is I can have different various uh, properties I can dial. For example, facial age, right? So I can take the facial age, for example, and I can turn it way down so that I look hopefully younger a lot. I'm going to do that. And you can see that there's some processing going on in the cloud, right? You can see a little blue line going from left to right. It will take a few seconds. And what Photoshop is actually doing at this point in time is actually connecting to the cloud, sending my photograph up into the cloud, and then bring it back. And you can see that this, right, is just, I've just been made slightly younger, right? Probably, I don't know, probably like 5, 8 years younger, slightly like that, right? I can just make sure that I'm a little bit happier, for example, so I can increase the happiness index, for example. You can see that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It kind of warps my face a little bit. So we're not going to do that, right? Let's just take this and bring it back to 0, all right? I can increase my hair thickness, for example, because back when I was younger, I certainly had a lot more hair. So you can see now my hair is a little bit fuller, and I can change my eye direction. So I can do it, from the left side, for example, like this, and I can do it on the right side, like this. Okay, so I can do it on the right side, and then I can also bring it back to the original kind of level like this. All right. So this is the way. Now, of course, it changes the photograph slightly a little bit, and that's to be expected. And then I have different types of facial expressions, like for example, surprise. I can do a little bit of surprise. Well, that doesn't really work quite well. It's usually better if this has no glasses on them, spectacles, because it tends to warp the spectacles, right, a little bit. But yeah, so this is basically neural filters smart portrait itself. And once I'm happy, I can click OK, and then that gives me the actual change result right over here. Okay, so that's the first thing. I made myself look slightly younger just using the smart portrait. The other kind of neural filters that I want to touch about is in cases where you are running a campaign that requires some sort of vintage images, right? So vintage images, old images of old Cambodia, old images of Vietnam, for example. And then what happens is the images tend to be black and white. So in our case, this is Lee Kuan Yew, who's Singapore's kind of founding father, right? He was a very well-known politician while he was still alive. And this is photograph was taken in the 1950s, and in the 1950s, photographs were all black and white. So what I can do is I can go to filter, neural filters, and there's no information inside here, right, that basically suggests any sort of color whatsoever. The original photograph is black and white. But basically, because Photoshop is able to connect to the cloud, and in the cloud, there's a lot of images of Lee Kuan Yew with color, right? So it is able to tap on that intelligence and AI to be able to infer that, oh, this is the kind of color I need to put on to a person of this kind of Asian descent, right? So I'm going to just say, let's go to colorize, right? Colorize. If I click colorize itself, basically what will happen is now it's going to put color onto here. And this is basically, it's able to discern that he's wearing a white shirt, that the Asian skin color is supposed to be, this color, a little bit, yellowish as opposed to Caucasian color, or even people of Indian descent, right? So it's a little bit different, right? And this is basically, artificial intelligence in at work. In addition, you can see that parts of the background are actually green, right, where there are trees, and is able to recognize, right, that, oh, these look like trees, I'm going to give them a green color. Now these look like branches, I'm going to give them the correct color, even to the point of having a little bit of the kind of white color speckled kind of moss inside here. So that's basically colorize, right? And I can do this and say okay, and now I have a color photograph. And you notice that the layer image is still locked, right? So I don't actually need to unlock this layer image in order to apply color to it, okay? And this is colorize neural filters. Thirdly, of course, we have photo restoration. Now, this is photo restoration, and essentially what happens over here is you have an old photograph that has got scratches and everything, and what you can do is to use the neural filters to quickly kind of make sure that these photographs are clean and nice as far as possible. Photoshop is going to try its best. It may or may not be perfect. It really depends on the quality of the original photograph, right? I mean, if it's too scratched up, then it's of course going to be difficult for Photoshop to do it. But I think by and large, Photoshop should be able to do a fairly decent job. So let me try on this photograph. I'm going to go over here and go to filter. Again, go back to neural filters. And this time we are going to look for photo restoration right at the bottom. It's called photo restoration. I'm going to click and turn on photo restoration itself. And from here, basically, it's going to kind of try to enhance the photograph a little bit. You can see the contrast was just changed a little bit. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple of adjustments using some of these sliders inside here. One of the sliders that I'm going to be using is scratch reduction. I'm going to take this and bring it all the way up to maybe 95, right? Or something like this, 95. There we go, 95. And it is basically retrieving the photograph, putting it back into the cloud, processing it, and turning it back into my Photoshop. And here you can see that the scratch reduction has removed most of the scratches inside here. All right, it did change the face a little bit. It removed one of the eyebrows, but this one you can actually copy and paste if you're trying to do some photo restoration, right? It's not going to be perfect, but it's basically kind of got this photograph like 95% of the way there. Okay. Now, of course, you can do not just one, but two different neural filters at the same time. So for example, if I wanted to colorize this right now, I can say, okay, you know what? I want to do colorize. So you just saw colorize earlier on the kind of Lee Kuan Yew photograph. And now after restoring this photo, I'm going to now do colorize at the same time. So you have two neural filters turned on right now. I'm going to do colorize, and straight away it's given me the Caucasian kind of look, right? Straight away. It's not a Chinese skin, it's like a Caucasian skin. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, well, I can manually, color the image. I can place a little dot right here. And basically it's going to ask me now, what kind of, color would you like out of this? I say, well, you know what? I want this to be, slightly orange, for example, maybe something like this. I want this to be slightly orange on the dark side. I'm going to say, okay, all right, give me an orange kind of tone. And you can see it's given me orange kind of tone. I can take this and say, I want this to be blue, right? So I'm going to change the color of this little dot here to blue, like this. I say, okay. And straight away, it's going to turn it to blue, right? I can create another dot here. And what it's going to do is going to inherit the color from there. And now what I can do is I can say, well, now we have blue for the vest. Okay, I can change this as well. I can just take this, and you know what? I changed my mind. I want it to be red. So I can change this to red. And you can see over here that you're going to have red in one color, one side, and blue on the other side, like this, right? Like this. Okay, so I can select this now and just simply say, you know what? I want this to be the same kind of red, right over here. Thank you very much. I prefer this to be red. So you can actually do colorize and kind of manipulate the color a little bit, right, if you want. And of course, here you can change the saturation of the color. So if I want it to be really saturated, I can bring this right up like this, right? Or, I can turn it down. I can make this, give it a blue kind of tint. That applies to the whole photograph, right? For example, I can make it a little bit green, right, like this, or, so on and so forth. Okay, all right. And that is basically neural filters 2 running at the same time. All right. So these are some of the neural filters. And last but not least, I want to show you some landscape mixer. Let me just close some of these over here. Let me close some of these. And now I have these two pictures over here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to window and I'm going to arrange these two pictures horizontally. So I'm going to do something like this, right? Now what I want to do is this. I'm going to use a neural filter to apply a winter landscape to the top photograph. So the top photograph, as you can see, is springtime. The bottom photograph is wintertime. So what I might want to do is I might want to run a campaign that says, I like the top photograph, but I really would like this to be wintertime, right? Maybe it could be a travel tourism campaign that you're running. And what I want to do is I want to select that photograph first, like here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, let's go to filter, neural filters, okay? And I'm going to do this neural filter called landscape mixer right down here under creative. All right, so you can see that we kind of touched on all the different categories, but today the last one is going to be landscape mixer. So I'm going to now turn on landscape mixer. And what I'm going to do is I can pick any one of these presets right down here. So you can see I have quite a number of presets if I want to pick them, and I can apply the look and feel of these presets onto the landscape itself. But what if I have my own custom reference picture? In other words, the one below. So I have already a picture that I have in mind, and I just want to take the winter landscape from this picture and apply it to the top. So if I have my own picture here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to custom, okay? And under custom, I can now click on select an image. Now, what Photoshop will do is to show you a list of images that are currently already open in Photoshop, right? So at this point in time, the only other image that I have open is this image over here, right? So I have two images open. If this is the one that I want to change, it will show you a list of all the other images that are currently open in Photoshop. Now, in this case, I only have one, so this is the one. And so what I can do is I simply need to click on it. And what Photoshop is going to start doing, it is going to now load in this image and is going to apply. You can see that it did it almost immediately. It applied the winter landscape from the bottom image onto the top image itself. And now the top image, from being a springtime image, now it's become winter, right? Now over here at the bottom, I have a different, a list of different attributes that I can dial inside. And one of them is, of course, strength. So like how much of the bottom image do I want to apply to the top? So it's currently at 100%. If I think that, oh no, this is a bit too strong, and I want to dial it back down and reduce the effect, I can dial it back down slightly. I can enter an image here or just drag the slider to the left to reduce it a little bit and bring it all the way to 95. You can see a little bit of the green starts coming back into the top image itself, right? So I want it to be kind of like this, like completely snowy, but I want it to be, kind of a little bit more green. Maybe I can take this and bring it to something like maybe 97, 98, and let's see where this gets us. It's going to just kind of bring this a little bit higher, right, and give it reduce a little bit of that green inside here, and gonna dial back in. It's almost going to be completely white over here like this. Okay, so that's what I can do over here, landscape mixer. And if I click OK, then now essentially what happens is the landscape has now been changed over to here. All right, and now I have a wintry landscape that I can work with. All right, so these are all neural filters, right, that I've just showcased to you. Neural filters require internet access. So you requires your Photoshop to have internet access, but it doesn't have to be super strong internet access. How fast the neural filters work will really depend on the strength and speed of your internet itself. Okay, all right. So that's basically neural filters in Photoshop. Now let's move on to Adobe Illustrator. So now I've finished Photoshop itself, and now we're going to move on to Adobe Illustrator to show you one or two different types of uh, AI-driven features inside here. So in Illustrator itself, right, what I do have is this tool called the Shaper tool. All right, the Shaper tool. So let me just show you what I currently have at this point in time. So over here, right, I do have a layer in this artboard, and I do have a couple of polygons. So this triangle here, I have another triangle, and then I have a rectangle and another rectangle over here like this, right? So just simply four shapes put on on top of another. Now I have a very simple shape maker tool that I want to showcase to you, and that is called the Shaper tool over here. All right, so Shaper tool over here like this, okay, and then from here, give me 1 second. Here we go. So this is the tool that I have inside here. All right, and I would like to. Oh, I'm not going to manage toolbars. Okay, here we go. So I have the Shaper tool kind of used itself inside here. And what I can do is using this Shaper tool. So this Shaper tool looks like a little circle with a pencil. I can just simply draw shapes, and it will now create the shape in Illustrator for me. So for example, if I want a triangle, I can just simply scribble a triangle like that. If I want a rectangle, I can just simply draw a rectangle as such. And if I want a circle, I can just simply draw a circle like that. I can even, once this is done, this rectangle or triangle that I created can have the usual properties like this. I can basically create, different types of properties like that. I can double click on this and bring this in. For example, I can even select the circle and create different types of iconography, or even, infographics like this. I can create this. I can, do something like that. And then simply just create different types of shapes as such, right? If I really wanted to. Okay, like this. So I can do this, and then now I can simply do something like this if I wanted to. And then from here, I can just, drag it out. So this is just, amazing different tool that I can use to create all the different types of shapes. So I use this tool to create this shape here, this shape, and this shape over here. Okay, and with this tool selected, what I can do is I can use this tool as well as a scribbler. So for example, if I want to create a brand logo, right, out of a combination of these four shapes, I can scribble away parts of the shape or parts of the compound image that I do not want. So for example, over here, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, I want to scribble this away. So you can see that it's just scribbling this away like this. And there we go. it just, brings it up like that. I can scribble this away like this, and then I can scribble this away and scribble this away. That's it. So over here, I have this image right now, right? Like this. Okay, let me just show you another example right down here. So over here, right, I have this particular pigeon layer, for example, and let me show you what the pigeon layer entails. It is basically a rectangle and then a circle and a circle over here like this, little circle, and this like that, right? So that's it. So you don't know really what is this. It's just a bunch of different circles. So what I can now do is I can do something like that. I can say, okay, you know what? I want this to be gone. I want this one to be gone. For example, I want this to be gone. Okay, like that. And I want this one to be gone. Okay, and I want this one. I want this one to be gone. Right? I want this one to be gone and this one to be gone here and this one to be gone over here like this. I want this one to be gone over here and I would like this one to be gone as well, right? Like this. So that's it. So I have this pigeon shape and there we go. So I have this particular pigeon shape itself inside here and I can create a good logo out of this, right? So that's basically how I can use this, right? And I can basically go in and start to put different types of colors. So for example, I can just simply select this, right? I can go inside here, double click on this one, and maybe, oh, I want this one to be red color, for example, uh, like that, right? And then from here, I can select this one, for example, and I can say, oh, you know what? I want this one to be maybe burnt orange color, kind of like this, burnt orange color, like that. Okay, good. So I have something like that, okay? And so on and so forth, right? So it really creates different types of iconography and images. All right, then from here, I can also, let me show you another one over here. This new feature is called intertwine. So intertwine basically refers to a feature where, you have, for example, different groups of artwork, right? So for example, you have this particular sword on the top and a snake at the bottom. Now, sometimes you want the there to be some sort of intertwine as part of your design. So you want the snake to be on top at some parts and the snake to be bottom and then on top and bottom at some parts. So it's going to go something like this. I can intertwine the snake with the sword itself. If you wanted to do this, it's not impossible. What you would normally have to do is to duplicate, right, the snake option over here. So you gotta basically duplicate this snake option, right, this snake layer, and then put it right at the top, and then you mask certain layers. Layers that are masked will appear at the bottom, and layers that are unmasked will appear at the top. So that's usually how people will do it, right? But in this case, you don't need to do that. All you need to do right now is select the sword, select the snake, go down to object and say intertwine make. Now you click on make and then it gives you a lasso tool. So if you want to reverse the order that it appears on screen, you simply need to drag a little circle around it. So let's say now if the snake head is below the sword and I want it to be above, I can just simply reverse the order like that. Okay, so I can reverse the order like that and it goes at the bottom. I can simply do this like that. It goes at the top and then the bottom and then again at the top. That's it. All right. So now I have this particular piece of artwork and it's just that simple, right? Now, if I want to undo this, right? Basically, what happens is in the layers itself, you can see that this layer is now one single layer. The whole thing is now one single object. But this is reversible. You can select this particular object itself, and then in the properties panel itself here, if you scroll right to the bottom, there is a button here that says release. Now, when you release, it will reverse this and uncollapse it to be the original two layers itself. So down here, there's an intertwine. The moment I click on release, you will see this get split up back into its original two layers like that, right? And the original layer with the order is going to be like this. So you can release it as well. Now, once I release it, let me just do it again one more time for you. I'm going to select both. This time I'm going to go to Object, Intertwine, Make. And this time I'm going to leave the snake head at the bottom, but I'm going to now change this part to be the top. And then this one can be at the bottom and this one will be at the top. So I'm doing it completely reverse at this time like that. Okay. Okay, so this is the intertwined kind of movement itself. Last but not least, I just want to show you a little new feature that basically shows you a little bit of this, you know, a little bit of this uh, 3D itself. You can create realistic 3D within Illustrator right now today. So from here, basically what you want to do is I have a little, you can see that this is just a simple kind of a line itself. It's just a path, right? It's an open path. So there's nothing more to it, but I can actually create a 3D object out of this, right? I go to Window, 3D and Materials. And what happens is it's going to open up the 3D and materials window. And from here, I can do different things. I can extrude, I can revolve, I can inflate. Let's do a revolve around here like this. Okay. So I'm going to take this and do a revolve. Now, what I want to do is I want to select this first before I do a revolve. um, I want to select this and I'm going to go to properties and I'm going to change the stroke color to something like maybe red, right? I'm going to change the stroke color to red. So it's going to appear something like this. Okay, so I'm going to now go to file and save this. So this is red. Why I want to change it to something red, because you will see the moment I revolve, it's going to be a 3D object. I'm going to select this, go to 3D and materials, and I'm going to click on revolve. When I click on revolve, it's going to turn this into a 3D object. So it's going to revolve this. Now I'm going to revolve it not from the left, but I'm going to do it from the right edge. So from the right edge of this, and it's going to turn this into a mushroom. There we go. So as a mushroom, I can basically take this and kind of rotate it this way. I can rotate it this way, I can rotate it this way. And you can see that I have this different type of mushroom, kind of done like this. Okay. So that's great. Now, I can do different things as well. I can basically go to materials and add a photoreal material onto this little mushroom over here. So for example, if I want something that has got like a sand step dune or something like that, or a natural snake leather, for example, I don't know what kind of maybe a fabric. Let's do a sunset dune. So like this. So this is a sunset dune like that. And then from here, I can basically go in and start to make the resolution a little bit higher. So for example, I can take this resolution a little bit higher and repeat, right? And make the pattern a little bit more repetitive, for example. I can take the sand color and change it. So let's say, for example, I don't want it to be this brown color mushroom. I want it to have a little bit of a maybe a blue color, kind of like a light blue color. For example, I can change this to a light blue color. And over here, I can change this to be maybe kind of a dark blue color, little purple, for example. And I can change it to something like that, right? If I wanted to. Okay. I can say the sand roughness, turn it down like this, right? And then, so if I make it very metallic, right, and I can take the pebble density, turn it up and down. So I have different types of kind of ways to change the texture on this. Now, the thing is, it doesn't look very realistic until I go to the lighting itself and start to put a little bit of a shadow on it, right? So I'm going to take the lighting and place a little bit of a shadow on it. So let's turn on shadows, for example. And you can see the shadow is now kind of behind the object. I'm going to take this and put it below the object, so like this. And then I can do the shadow bounds. Let's increase the shadow bounds, for example. And I can now rotate the light. So I can rotate the light. And let's say I want to place the light somewhere here, for example, or maybe place the light somewhere around, maybe somewhere around here. I can change the height of it, right, like this. So maybe I can change the height of this and maybe take this a little bit and move it here. Let's just reduce the height in a little bit. So I can do something like that, right? But it's never going to look completely realistic until I turn on this thing called ray tracing. And now what happens is now it's going to cast a light, and you can see the shadow is now really, really, I can change the shadow from being really harsh to being really soft. So for example, I can change it to being really soft, for example, like this. And then I can go back to materials and change the kind of the sand roughness to make it like really, really smooth, for example. And it's going to throw a little bit more reflectivity inside here. You can see a little bit more reflectivity inside here. So I'm going to take the pebble density and turn it down. You can see it looks a little more shiny like this. Okay. and then I can still kind of rotate the revolve angle. I can just kind of revolve this a little bit. So I can make this a little bit like that, right? Change this revolve angle. I can change the twist itself like this, for example, if I wanted to, right? And then change a little bit of the offset. So it's all procedural in nature, okay? All right. And then I can now, do something like that, okay? So it's all done procedurally, okay? All right, so this is basically 3D itself. I'm going to turn on this thing so that my computer can run smoothly. And you can do this to text as well. So I can take the text itself, do an extrude. For example, in this case, I want the text properties itself. Under the fill, I want this to be maybe yellow, right? So I go yellow itself, and then let's go to File, Save this inside here. Or maybe I undo the save itself. And then from here, I can go inside and then change this over to extrude, right? Like this. So I'm going to take the properties of this fill and make it yellow color so you can see what this will actually look like. Okay. So from here, right, you can see that over here, I can increase the depth if I wanted to, like this. I can, let's go in a little bit, and I can basically, increase the bevel, for example, give it a little bit of a bevel. If I don't want the bevel, then it's fine. I can go to materials and give it a little bit of a heavy gold kind of, uh, right, or maybe a copper kind of color itself, or die cast itself inside here. And then gold leaf, for example, or gold leaf looks good, okay? And then from here, I can basically increase the repeat, turn up the resolution and increase the repeat. Like that, all right? And then give a little bit of lighting, a little bit of shadow, and below object like this, and then just change the rotation of the light itself, right? So here we go. There we go, something like this, all right? And then from there, I can basically take the light itself, and I can even turn up the intensity of the light if I wanted to, like this. So I can turn up the intensity of the light and then turn on the ray tracing over here like this. And now we're going to have a photoreal kind of object here like this, okay? All right, so that is it for Illustrator itself. Now, the next thing I want to show you, of course, is Adobe Stock, right? I want to show you what Adobe Stock can do, right? Like this. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into my Creative Cloud desktop app. And from here, I'm going to go into Stock and Marketplace. And from here, I can search for different types of stock photos. And go to Photos, for example, I can look for different types of stock. So let's say, for example, Angkor Wat, right? Like this, I can search for Angkor Wat. And from here, it will open up this particular um, website. And from here, I can look for Angkor Wat, right? All the different kind of photographs of Angkor Wat. Oh, I like this photograph and I like this one as well. So I can basically do a little campaign on Angkor Wat itself. So basically, you can see that the Adobe Stock is a repository of different types of images and different types of sounds, different types of videos that you can license and search for. You can search for it through the kind of Adobe Creative Cloud desktop app, which is this one, which I used over here, right? Where you can see all the different kind of applications inside here. But also you can search for it. Oops, sorry. You can search for it from here, right? And you can search for it from the Adobe Stock website as well. Now, the moment you search for it from the Adobe Creative Cloud desktop app, it will log you in and perform the search onto the website itself. And you are going to know exactly who you are and what your libraries are, right? So it works together with libraries, and I'll show you that in a minute. So let's say I do a search for Angkor Wat, and I have this, and I like this particular image. Well, because it's already been, it says license already, I don't need to license it anymore. I licensed it and used it once before, but it's not me who used it. It is my organization that used it before. So as long as someone in my organization has licensed this image before, I do not need to license it anymore again. Okay, so that's the big good thing about Adobe Stock. Once your organization has purchased the rights to use this image commercially for any kind of commercial campaigns that you want to do, you can reuse this image again and again in perpetuity without having to license it again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little heart icon to save it to my Creative Cloud library like this, and it's going to save it into the Creative Cloud library, right? And right now what I want to do is I want to manage this, and I want to save it into a library of my choosing, right? I can basically select the library itself, and I'm going to say, let's select and let's say, for example, let's create a library name, and let's call this, right, Noventiq library, right? Noventiq library. Okay, over here, because this is the webinar we are dealing with, and then I'm going to click OK. So this is going to be saved into the library, and I'll show you how to access libraries later. So the libraries are all here, right? And you can save it to the library. I can also save non-licensed assets into the library. The non-licensed assets are going to have a watermark with a kind of a code inside. So I'm going to click on this, right? I'm going to save this one to the library. So I have two images that I like to save to the library, right? Over here. And then I can search for different things. Like, for example, under filters, I can search for not just photos, but I can search for illustrations as well, right? So I can search for Angkor Wat illustrations, right? So these are like maybe vector image or, kind of artwork that people drew, illustrations itself. And I can search for maybe Angkor Wat under videos, for example. So I can search for videos under Angkor Wat, right? So these are videos under Angkor Wat, and these are videos under Angkor Wat. So let's say I have an image of this, and I would like to save this video into the library. I can still do that. I can save the video to the library as well. So any of you attending who are in video workflows, you can do that. All right. And then from here, I can search for different things like, for example, templates. I can search for different type of templates, not Angkor Wat templates, but maybe let's say, vacation templates or holiday templates. And these are flyers and vacation templates like this that you can actually save into your library after you license them. Okay. All right. Now, how do I access the libraries? Very simple. I can access the libraries both using Illustrator, Photoshop, or any of the Creative Cloud applications. So back in Photoshop, I'm going to create a brand new file like this, 2000 by 2000, and I'm going to open up the panel called Libraries. So there's a Libraries panel. The Libraries panel right over here, you can actually see all the different libraries panel. You can create your own libraries, and basically you can have different libraries inside here, and then access them directly from Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Premiere Pro, After Effects, Adobe XD, for example. So you see the Noventiq library that was created earlier. It's over here. I can access it over here, and you can see that lo and behold, the images that I licensed from Adobe Stock or I downloaded from Adobe Stock are here, right? So what I can do is to take this particular image and just simply drag it out into the timeline, into the canvas over here, and I can just place this right down here like this, okay, right at the top. So very nice. I have this particular image over here, right at the top, right? And this is maybe the banner image that I want to use for this thing that says Angkor Wat, the kind of thing. Angkor Wat, come visit Angkor Wat, the amazing sites of Angkor Wat or something like that. Now, let's say I want to have a different image right at the bottom, and this is going to be this image here. So I'm going to take this one and drag it down. Now, you will see the difference in this image and this one. Let me just put it down here like that. And I'm going to place it down here like this. And then you know what? I'm going to just take this and just reverse the order a little bit. So I'm going to take this one and place it right at the top. So like that. Okay, great. So now with these two images over here, if I were to zoom into this one, you will see that this image here has got some kind of watermark on this image over here. It's very slight, but you can't see a little bit of the water. Here we go. Can you see the watermark here? There's the Adobe Stock watermark over here. So because this is unlicensed, all right? And how do you know that this image is unlicensed? Because this image over here has got the shopping cart. It's unlicensed. But this one here is licensed. This one is full resolution, licensed already, so I don't need to license it anymore. Okay, all right. Sorry. Here we go. So now let's say this image over here is something that I like, right? I love this image, and what I want to do now is I would like to license this image. How do I do it? Very easy. I can go into select this image here and then go into the properties panel, and I can license the asset directly from here, just by clicking once, right? Or if I want to license this, I just simply need to click on this one here. By selecting this particular image over here, it will be down here like this. So if I select this, I can license this by clicking on this. This image here, the layer here, and this library image, they are linked assets. This is a smart object that's linked over to here. So if I license this, the watermark will disappear from here. So what I want to do is I want to zoom in a little bit first so that we can all see the watermark that's over here, right? And over here. And so what I want to do is I'm going to click on this little shopping cart icon, and it's going to tell me, hey, you want to license this? Do you want standard license or extended license, right? I want to say I want this to be a standard license, right? Extended license means you can use this for print, more than 500,000 print runs, whereas standard licenses, you have limited to 500,000 print runs. Okay, so extended license means unlimited print runs. This one is limited print runs for things like posters, banners, for example. And so I'm going to pick a standard license. I'm going to say next. And then it's going to tell me that, oh, this is going to reduce your prepaid number of images from 1,878 to 1,877. It will utilize one of the prepaid images. Now I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to confirm. Now what happens is when I click confirm, straight away it's going to replace this image with the full res unwatermarked image, and the watermark is also going to disappear from here. So you're going to see that being done, and straight away you can see the watermark disappears from here. And now this is a full res and watermark image that is ready for use, in the commercial campaign itself. Okay, like this. So this is Adobe Stock itself. All right, and Adobe Stock can be accessed directly from here. If I go to, for example, over here, and I want to add something inside here, I can basically go inside and search for Adobe Stock. I can go to the libraries itself, open up the library over here, and I can do a search for the image over here. I can basically search for current library. No, I want to search for Adobe Stock, and then I want to search for maybe Space Galaxy, something like this, right? Space Galaxy is going to tell me all these different types of images over here, and I can say, what about hyperspace? Kind of hyperspace or something like this, and it's going to give me this, right? So basically from here, I can basically say, oh, you know what? I want to take this and I want to add this over to maybe this one. This one has already been licensed. So I'm going to add this over into the library, itself. And then once I added this into a library, I can basically take this and put it, into the image itself inside here. I can take this and place it inside here and place this over here like this. Right over here. And then from this one here, I can take this and bring it right at the bottom. So Star Wars, right down here, I can take this one and bring it over here. And there we go. So Star Wars. And then I can do, different things like this. So I can take this, for example, and just bring it back here. There we go. All right. So I can do different things like that directly from the libraries panel. I can search, and I can basically search for Adobe Stock and say, you know what, I want this to be hyperspace, for example, hyperspace. I have different types of hyperspace itself inside here, and I can say, you know what, I want something similar to this. So I can right click and say find similar, and now I can basically look for all similar images of this. Okay, all right. So this is Adobe Stock itself. And now the last thing I just wanted to show you is, of course, Adobe Firefly. So Adobe Firefly is basically Adobe's new kind of generative AI, for example. So you need to sign in to Adobe Firefly. You can sign in itself inside here. And then from here, I'm going to sign into my account into Adobe. And from here, I can basically say, okay, agree. All right, so now that I'm signed in, I can basically go in and type different types of things to generate images. So let's go inside here. I'm going to show you how this actually works. Go to generate and then just go to next and just skip this. For example, I can go inside here and say, what the image that you want to generate. So I want to generate, for example, I want to generate, for example, a cat, right, in a sailor outfit, right? Smoking a pipe, something like this, something weird like that, right? I don't want to generate. I click generate itself, and basically, let's click generate. Here we go. And basically, it's going to generate this as a piece of artwork. Cat in a sailor outfit smoking a pipe. There we go. Cat in a sailor outfit smoking a pipe, right? I can basically have different types of aspect ratios that I want. For example, if I want a portrait, square, let's do a portrait so that this looks like it's a distinguished kind of gentleman, right? Smoking a pipe itself, and it's going to generate different types of artwork. I can generate different styles. So this is artwork. It looks very cartoonish, right? I can generate it as a photograph, for example. So it's going to now give this kind of like a photo feel. Okay. And this particular service, Adobe Firefly, is completely free. All right, it's completely free, and I can generate this as a graphic, right? So I can change this, right? I can say, you know what, smoking a pipe, right, with a peg leg, for example, right, with a peg leg, uh, and an eye patch, something like this. So generate. Here we go. And then it's going to change this. So I'm giving him a peg leg, an eye patch, a sailor outfit, smoking a pipe. It's going to be like this. Yes, there we go. All right. Um, peg leg. So the peg leg, here we go. It has a little bit of this and an eye patch. So, something like that. So I can do something completely different as well. I can say, oh, I want this to be a desert moon with insects, with terrifying uh, giant insects. So you can do different types of artwork, different types of photographs. Something like this, right? I can do, and then of course this one, let's do a landscape kind of thing. So there's like, wow, really nice. Um, Okay, so this is Adobe Firefly, and once these things get generated, so I hope that this will be interesting to all of you. Go ahead and try it out. We have different types of kind of functions. You can do text to image, and then you can do generative fill. You can even apply text effects to Word itself, right? So go ahead and try it out. This is a free service. You can just log in with your Adobe ID and try it out. And then you can download the images as PNG. You cannot currently use it legally for commercial purposes, but you can try it out and for your own personal work. All right. And with that, I think Paulina and the Noventiq crew will have some videos on Adobe Firefly for you to see. Paulina, back over to you.
Albert, we already shown the video, but Masha, if we can repeat, because some of our participants joined later.
Sure.
Masha?
Yes, one second.
Yes, Albert, maybe you can just comment some extra tools of Photoshop beta and integrations with Firefly right now, how our customers can use it. As I right understood, if you have access to legal version of Photoshop, you can download beta version of Photoshop and use integrations with Adobe Firefly, right? And if we talk about Firefly, as you can see on the video, you can easily use it even if you are not professional designer, and use it for your personal work. And I'm pretty sure that Adobe will add more tools from Adobe Firefly to Creative Cloud all apps. We will keep you posted, of course. And Albert, we have the question from Tony. What sources can you recommend for learning more about Photoshop, and how can he learn from the portal?
Hi, sorry, I was actually answering your question earlier, but I did not realize I was on mute. Anyway, I'm typing my reply into the chat. Basically, Firefly can be used in Photoshop Beta, and you can get Photoshop Beta through the Adobe Creative Cloud desktop app. So everyone has access to it. All right. Yes, and to answer your question, Adobe has got many different resources online. Okay, I'm going to place one of the resources in the chat thread, the link to the resources on the chat thread, and over there, the same website can be used for Illustrator, InDesign, or any of the Adobe Creative Cloud desktop apps. You have tons and tons of 5-minute, 8-minute video tutorials on the website. In addition, Adobe Creative Cloud also has its own YouTube channel. And YouTube channels, I think there is new content being added. If not every day, it's every week, right? So you have, I think, multiple times a week, you will have new features in the YouTube channel showing you, oh, this is how you use this and use how you use that. All right, so I'm going to place some of the links in the chat thread right now while you watch and enjoy the Firefly video.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dear colleagues, so we have a few minutes left. If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself or text via chat. Maybe you have more questions after the presentation.
Yes, and one more thing I want to add on to audience here. So please kindly have to provide a feedback form. So then our sales team will contact to you one-on-one, right? In case you don't want to ask question here, so many people, so we can have a one-on-one meeting with you. Yeah, thank you.
Also, dear friends, if you want to know more about some of Adobe solutions and tools, licensing, etc., please feel free to reach us. You can reach our sales team, or you can reach Maria or me, and we will be really happy to make a demo session for you, maybe small workshop exactly for your company, your marketing team or IT team. We are open for new suggestion, and maybe if you have any ideas or requests for further webinars, please feel free to offer which topics will be interesting for you. For example, maybe Substance 3D, maybe Premiere Pro. If we have like more than few requests, I think we can schedule the webinar with new topic, which will be really helpful for you. And also you can text your feedback in the chat. And thank you very much, Albert and Noventiq marketing team for arrangement. It was pleasure to host this event. Thank you very much for your time.
Sure. Just to let everyone know, I'm actually I've provided several links to Photoshop, Illustrator tutorials, and the Adobe Creative Cloud YouTube channel. You can just go ahead and check it out. The YouTube channel particularly is very, very useful. All right. So good luck to everyone. I hope you enjoy using Adobe Creative Cloud. As Paulina has mentioned, please feel free to approach her for any kind of custom demos, and we will arrange internally and sync up to do something like that. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thanks a lot. Have a nice day.
Yes, thank you, Albert. Thank you, Paulina. So we hope that the session is useful for your organization and hope